In constructed, nope. I don't think you're getting there on this like weird janky thing. All right. Wild. Alluring Ailmaid. I guess this is to ambush my opponent with momentum cards. That's kind of funny. That's not very good. It's a 3-cost 3/2 with that's quick. That's like okay. But like it's not an exciting card or anything. You can play a resource from your hand. Maybe it'll ramp, or maybe it'll let you like quote unquote ramp one, which will surprise your opponent and might be practical. But I think this card is like very middling. It's not insane or anything. It's just fine. I would play it, but like I would play like Djo. I would end up playing a lot of cards, right? Like I'm sure this is a playable. It's just not exciting or anything. In constructed, I'm probably not playing something like this. Next up is Arcing Winds. Destroy up to 3 target constants. This is great in rock, I hear, because there's a lot of constant based removal, I hear, as I've talked about multiple times on the rest of this review. In limited, we've also talked about how there are a lot of constants that are valuable. So you could consider playing this in your main, but it's probably wrong. You probably want to side it in against runic decks or decks that play a lot of constants. It's fine there. In actual, factual, standard constructed, I don't know if you play this. I'm sure there's other things that you could be playing. My voice is getting tired. Also, I think I'm like getting a cold because I'm cold, which is bad. So I'm gonna warm up a bit with warmer clothes as we talk about Baroness Floriana. Baroness Floriana says your Blight Blossoms become 3/3 lethal steadfast troops. This card is great in limited. The Deathcry deck ends up with a ton of undead and a ton of plants. And a decent number of them are also both. Which makes this card a really strong lord that probably has to be removed immediately. So, something with this high of an impact, I think, is a top tier limited card. In constructed, maybe not. Like your 2-drops are already so important to you. Like in constructed, you're already playing Lord Blightbark on 2, and you're already playing 4 Blight Bushes on 2. Maybe you could add like 1 or 2 copies of this to get like some weird aggro plan. But like people are already playing like janky combo value like Blood Wild instead of this. Like the one that saw play on the CCS where they just like put the Succubus ability onto a Deathseeker and just like kept on looping it. I think that's just much more of a impactful thing than constructed. So yeah, for sure play this in limited all the time. It is a top tier pick. I would pick it over, I think, all of the uncommons. Next up is Blighted Seedbearer. This is also a top tier pick in limited. This is possibly also great in constructed for Deathcry. This might be the 6th drop of choice. You get random plants with cost 4 or more on Deathcry, and you get a random plant with cost 3 or less on entering play, which is huge. He looks like he is like a plant undead, but he is in fact not. So reminder for those of you keeping track of what gets lorded by your plant and undead lords at Uncommon and Baroness Floriana. This is not one of them. But yeah. He's probably pretty likely to make an undead plant though, because a lot of the new plants are also undead. Alright, next up is Bloomburster. Hey look, an undead plant zombie. Deathcry, you make a wild shard. This isn't exciting. Not at all. Like, it's a 4-cost 4/2. That you make a wild shard when it dies. Whoopee. I would rather this, like, Fate Weaved when it died. Honestly. Like, for most decks, you would rather just have it Fate Weave, right? But, I mean, it's fine. It's a big fatty. You play it. It's not even that big of a fatty. It trades for a lot of things. It's like a middle, low tier common. No way you play this in Constructed. Blossoming Brawn. Hey look. Fun permanent combat tricks. Target troop you control gets +4/+4. I swear this was a rare at one point, right? Like this kind of effect. It was like target troop gets like +6/+6. Permanently. No, is that Eternal? Is this a rare in Eternal? Alright, this effect is like really strong, right? Like you get a permanent +4/+4. Obviously, we're gonna be trying to play Revert. So we're gonna try to like stop this from happening. But this is a really strong effect. It like wins you the combat and your troop is still gigantic. I think this is a top tier uncommon. In limited. In Constructed, we're never playing combat tricks. Gigantify was +7/+7 for rare. Was it quick? Wasn't Gigantify like not quick? And had other words on it or something? Like you made a Gigantosaur or something? Yeah. So yeah. This is sweet. Brosie's Bouncer. It's a 4-cost 4/5 crush that when it deals combat damage to an opposing champion, you make it cost 2 more. Sure. But like, this is much cheaper than 7, right? And like it is much too expensive for an actual combat trick. Without like drawing a card. But I think it's fine. I think it is a pretty strong combat trick. Although it might be too expensive, which might be enough of an issue. And still garbage? Alright. Anyways, Brosie's Bouncer, you hit your opponents, and then all your other troops get transformed into troops with cost +2. So you end up doing some silly things. I think this card is really strong, because increasing the cost of your cards generally makes them stronger. Oh, this one doesn't even care about shards, by the way. Yeah, like it's already a 4-cost 4/5 crush. That's already a strong like card. And this one also doesn't care about shards, so you can actually end up with like I don't know, like random cards that aren't in the shards that you were. So you can end up with like Emperor Nox or like what is that 7-cost dragon? The stupid dragon that like voids a card and then yeah, whenever you attack, you void the top card of your deck and you get a copy of it or of every card voided with it and you can play them all for free. Yeah, you can get those cards. This card is sweet. Oh, maybe that card rotated. Alright, maybe not that card, but you know, you can get a lot of sweet cards. Exalted Pathfinder, this is a great card. This is... I know it's been a while. It's been a long time since we last talked about it, but this is my favorite of the 3 Exalted cards in this set. Exalted Pathfinder is my favorite of them. I think it's the best one. Like, when you play a resource draw card, it's so good. So good. I'm going to aim to pick this all the time. I think this is a top tier pick in Limited, and I think it will see play in Constructed. I think it's that good. The effect is really strong. I don't think anyone needs to be told that. Like, when you play a resource draw card, means that getting flooded isn't atrocious. Alright, next up we have Fueling Station. Troops you control get Gladiator, have Gladiator too. Hey, hey. You know what constants are annoying and probably need to be removed? Cards like Fueling Station. Fueling Station is a payoff for going wide. And I don't even know, like, if there's some, like, weird, sweet Candlekin Fueling Station deck where you go wide with either, like, Wild or, no, Diamond or Ruby. Yeah. Like, you go wide with, like, Illuminate and Diamond, or you go wide with Illuminate and Ruby, and then you just play Fueling Station. You just punch people. The issue is, we're going to be playing these stupid constant removal cards main deck, right? Right? Right, everyone? Everyone who's watching? We're going to be playing cards like Aura Eater. Or the one that's in Wild that I don't remember the name of. We're going to pick these cards. Soothing Seed Stag. We're going to pick these cards, and we're going to play them. And our opponent isn't going to get a ton of value off of their stupid constants. They're still going to get value the turn they come down in the case of Soothing Seed Stag, though. So, yeah. In Constructed, no. I don't think so. It's too janky and Constructed. Next up is Green Grimplekin. Green Grimplekin, when you Fate Weave, a random troop gets +1/+1. Hey, this would be great if there were ways to Fate Weave. There aren't. Like, the number of ways we had to Fate Weave got cut in, like, a third or something. Like, we have one, no, even less than a third. No, I guess exactly. Slightly more than a third, whatever. Because, like, 1/3 of our packs will be the original Frostheart packs, right? And those have ices. We don't have ices anymore. Like, don't get me wrong, this is a fine card. It's a 2-cost 1/1 lethal. Like, that's fine already. And then it has the upside of, like, randomly pumping troops we control whenever we Fate Weave. Yeah, Cat is lamenting the loss of Fate Weave. I lament the loss of Runic, too. Fate Weave and Runic were my two favorite mechanics, and there are much less Runic and Fate Weave that we're going to see. Do you think Primals will be worth a lot at launch? Probably. They're always worth a lot at launch. Most of the card price, I think, will be concentrated on rares, though. I don't... Maybe the Sapphire Legendaries? Is that what we were talking about? Was really good? Like, Lixil will probably be overpriced early on. And Eyes of the Heart will be, I think, the Chase Legend of the set. So, yeah. Like, I think those two will be pretty Chase Legends, so... I think Primals will be worth... Like, I think they'll be worth more opening them on release than it will be for you to sell them. Like, people usually won't buy Primals for more than, like, 1,000-something plat. Anyways, up next is Happy the High Hero. I hate this card. Like, I don't hate this card because the effect is stupid. I hate this card because... Like, I don't understand who Hex is being marketed to. Like, are children supposed to be, like, aspiring to play this game? Or are adults supposed to be teaching their children to play this game? Is my question. Like, that's a good way to get, like, a lot of players in the long term, right? But this is a very adult subject that, as an adult, I wouldn't be comfortable exposing my children to. Yes, that is a rabbit smoking opium. Like, that's not a comfortable subject for me to, like, breach with children, right? Obviously, I'm, like, a NEET and don't actually have kids, but, like, this isn't a game that I want to share with my kids, if I had kids. And I think me being a prude about this is correct. I think they really should not flavor cards like this. You can flavor cards to be scary and great, like gross, but like, sure, this isn't the only card with smoking, but it's like obvious that he's like, whatever. I can talk about my like hatred of like Hex's more adult aspects some other time. I guess I don't need my like set review to be a rant about that. We can talk about that later. But yeah, this is a really strong effect. It's like Winter Moon, but you get like random cards or something. But yeah. I don't know. It's a strong card. It's like Winter Moony. And it makes it so if you... Oh, remember that Happy also combos with, it combos with portals. Sure, the troop needs to be on the board to get the draw, but like, it puts like cards back into your deck if you wanted to fake Winter Moon it up. It works with Portal. This is a key thing, because Portal cards are always transformed. Essentially. Right? So, like, whenever you play a Portal card, like, you'll draw a card with Happy. So, yeah. I think he's really strong with, the Portal champion. Not Adani Zedek, the other one. Entity Unknown. Right? Like, you just make a common portal, and then you play it, and then you draw a card. I think you'll get a ton of card advantage out of this. Herald of Thorns. Hey, 4-cost 3/4s. We've been taught to like them. This one is really strong. It's a 4-cost 3/4 Steadfast with a Lord effect for plants. There's a lot of plants. This is a really good card. We're going to play this always. Like, giving our plants +1/+2 means that all of our Blight Blossoms are 2/3s. 2/3 is already like a 3-drop, essentially, of value. This card is legit good. In Constructed, maybe. Outside chance. Especially for Rock, I think it has a higher chance. But outside chance. Skyguard, not Steadfast? You're right, it's Skyguard. The troops themselves don't get, like, Skyguard or Steadfast. Which, I mean, whatever. It blocks flyers. That's, like, kind of huge. That might actually be more important than Steadfast. Up next is Jack Colossus. Jack Colossus is a 5-cost 3/7. Crush. Opposing troops must block this if able. When this becomes blocked, it gets Gladiator too. So if your opponent doesn't have, like, lethal troops or anything, or, like, a lethal trick, like, this just becomes a gigantic Gladiator troop. Jack Colossus is strong as hell. Like, your opponent will probably have, like, 3 troops back to block it, and you'll be like, great, it's now a 9/7 on attack. And it has Crush, so you'll probably, like, wreck them. Honestly, even if they do have, like, enough, like, power on their board to trade for it, you'll probably just wreck them with, like, a ton of damage, and your one card will trade for, like, 5 of them. And everything else gets through, yeah. Jack Colossus is gross. This card is really strong. It's really strong in Limited. In Constructed, you're not playing this. Like, it's not very strong in Constructed. Also, Jack Colossus is a combo with Off the Chain. Because it gets Gladiator. And then Swift Strike. I mean, you have to play it after it gets Gladiator, obviously. But yeah. It's a strong combo. Up next is Jubilant Destiny. This Destiny seems like it's really hard to have happen. Like, I don't think a lot of cards will be transformed permanently. So you need to manage to transform 3, like, probably at least 2 cards in one turn, right? And then you need to be able to have the resources left to play this for 2. Because summoning 3 troops with combined cost 10 is really strong. But getting it for 2 cost is really hard. And like playing it for 7 is fine, but not insane or anything. Because you could end up with like really janky troops at those costs. Sorry. So yeah, Jubilant Destiny is kind of janky. Jubilant Jouster, I hate this card. We've talked about this. I do not like momentum cards that are cheap and are not good unless you have momentum, and are terrible top decks. We believe in the cards need to be decent top decks theory, and this is not a decent top deck when we're top decking. So I do not want to play this card. If the format is more aggressive than I want it to be, we will play this card. Otherwise, no. Yeah. In Constructed, we're not playing Jubilant Destiny or Jouster either. Lumbering Gamadon, it is a 6 cost, 6/4 crush. That when it dies, you make a common portal. This seems fine. Like, it's a 6 cost, 6/4, which means like it suffers the same issue that the other 6 cost troop that we talked about in Blood had, where it'll trade with 3 drops because it has 4 defense, which isn't what we want to be doing. But creating a common portal is worth more than verdicting. And I think that's what drives this into more playable than the other card. So yeah. And it has Crush. Another slight upside. I think this card is slightly better than that one. Obviously, I'm not like terribly excited to play 6 drops that can't block, but at least it like actually gets a portal. Alright, Merry Maple. At the start of your turn, transform another target troop you control into a Merry Squirrel. Hey look, some way to transform our troops. This costs a lot, and it like only does it at the start of our turn. Not like the turn it comes down or anything. Also, it's only a 3/6. It's not like a 6/6 like the squirrel that we were playing before. Also, it has really creepy eyes. Right? Unless those aren't eyes. It's like, that's what I see as eyes. And his eyes look really creepy. It's fine. Like it turns your other troops into real blockers / threats because they revert on your own turn. So that's kind of huge. But it needs like a full turn cycle to go before it like actually starts getting there. And it does die to the diamond removal spell, which is kind of awkward. Winter's Grasp? That's like not a great place to be at. But yeah, I think it's fine for a 5-drop. I think it's a pretty strong one. It is unfortunate that it dies to like common diamond removal. Merry Mascot. Transform each troop you control into a random troop of the same shards with cost +1. For 7. Basic. It's a 2 cost 2/3. That's pretty good, because it's beating the 2 cost 2/2s that we're already going to be playing, and the 2 cost 2/1s. And it has upside. So, yeah. This is really strong. Winter's Grasp is the strongest card in the set? No. It is the strongest common in the set. It is probably stronger than most, if not all, of the uncommons in the set. It is definitely not stronger than all of the rares or all of the legends. But yeah, Merry Mascot actually seems pretty good. Like, I don't really like this effect, but I understand that it's fine. But I do like that it is a 2 cost 2/3. And it has a resource sink in the late game. So yeah, we'll probably play this card. Merry Maker, when we Fate Weave, transform this into a random troop with cost +1. It retains this power. Nope. We can't Fate Weave, remember? Like we only have like less than a half as many ways to Fate Weave. Yeah, the reason why Merry Mascot is good is that the stats are good in Limited. In Constructed, not so much. And like having a late game resource sink is fine. So like these are mainly Limited cards. These 3. Merrymaker might see playing constructed in some weird janky deck where you think Holiday is a good card, so we'll play Holiday. But I don't think Holiday is a good card, so we're not playing Holiday. It's also a terrible top deck. Also, we're never Fate Weaving, so we're never playing this card. So yeah. Sorry, Merrymaker, you are a bottom tier rare. Mutt Rider. Mutt Rider is not a bottom tier rare. It is a 3-cost 3/3 Gladiator one, so it's a 4/3 or a 3/4. Crush, when it deals combat damage to an opposing champion, troops you control get Gladiator 1. Oh, this becomes a 5/3 or a 3/5, and all my other troops also get bigger with Mutt Rider? Seems decent in Limited. It also has Crush, right? And we can also play that stupid combat trick in Ruby. Once again, mentioning Off the Chain to like make this even better. This card is great. This is an amazing rare. It's not as bomby as some of the other rares that we've seen, but it is a bomby rare, right? Like if we can get it in once, we've gotten our value. If we can get it in twice, the game's probably over. Unless it's our only troop, then not so much. But yeah. Mutt Rider is really sweet. In Constructed, I don't know. Outside chance, probably not though. Maybe in some like Gladiator Haraza deck with like with Quenchinator and stuff, this will get there. And then we can also play janky cards like what's the other one? Blitz Boys to give them Swift Strike to get in. But yeah. Next up is Pack Pummeler. Gladiator Crush. When it does combat damage to opposing champion, Fate Weave. Hey look! One of the few ways that we can Fate Weave in the set. Too bad it's only a 4/2 Crush for 3. I mean, it's a 4/2 or a 2/4? That's actually not that exciting. If it was an 0/2 Gladiator 4, I would be way more excited for this. Yeah, I mean, probably Fate Weave once. It's a fine card, don't get me wrong, but like 2/4 isn't the best. And that's why I don't like it that much. Like, being 2/4 when we're forced to sit back and defend isn't the best. I'd rather be at 0/6 or 3/3. But yeah, it's a card. Not the worst. It's like a middling uncommon. No chance of seeing playing constructed. Palm of Granite. It literally took someone else mentioning that this was a pun for me to understand that this was a pun. I just thought he was like using granite palms or something. I didn't realize that Palm of Granite sounds a lot like pomegranate. I think Cultivates are okay and limited, especially if you're trying to ramp to something big. It's either 32-beat or Curtis or both of them that have told me otherwise, that they do not like Cultivates. And I think it's Curtis, actually. And I think he's wrong. I think you want like, you have to be in a very specific deck. Like, I don't think you want to play this card even if you're in, like, sure, you'll play this card if you're in Momentum. If you're, like, all in Momentum, and you've somehow drafted a deck that wants to do that. But if you want to play a lot of resource, like, a heavy, high-cost resource deck, and just, like, bomb people to death, I think ramp is really important to that. And this is ramp plus getting you another shard to make sure that you can hit your land drops. Which I think is really important to that. 32-beat also thinks that it's awful and limited. I think it's fine. You really need to draft a, like, you need to draft a ramp deck and realize that ramp decks require that you draw both ramp and expensive payoffs. Now, if your expensive payoffs are 2-drops that have, like, 7-cost actions that you can do, all the better, right? Like, if your ramp payoff is Pipit Pal, that's sweet. It is inconsistent, sure. But if your ramp payoffs are like smaller troops with like high cost activated abilities, or like kind of the more expensive Frostform cards, I think it's fine. And I think I would be interested in trying to draft something like that. So yeah. Pomegranate gets a middling to low common, while being okay if you really want to try to freaking do momentum, and probably much better in constructed. Also, as a note, Palm of Granite costs virtual 2 because it puts the wild shard on exhausted, which is kind of strong. Alright, Pipit Pal. Pipit Pal is really good for us to ramp into. You can play an additional resource on each turn, each of your turns. That's probably not happening after a while. Unless we have like ways to get extra resources, or like Infamous Neo to draw extra cards. Or like, oh yeah. So like Palm of Granite with like Zeoda's Familiar, so we can Fate Weave and draw extra cards and stuff. And then with like Pipit Pals, so that we can, you know, make our deck consistent and do sweet things. I think that is a strong potential. Obviously for Pipit Pal, you do need some ramp or whatever. And it's kind of awkward, because you can't guarantee it and whatnot. But yeah. Transform target troop you control into a random wild troop with 7 cost or greater. That's a strong effect. Next up is Poppy Pup. Once per turn, when another card you control transforms, this gets +2/+2 in Steadfast this turn. I don't think this is happening enough. I've talked about this. There's like not that much transform left. Like, we don't have Runic Chrysalis. We don't have our like sweet copies of the turn into a Merry Squirrel draw card, right? All we have are like this dumb turn into a Merry Squirrel Fate Weave card at basic speed. And thus, I do not think that this is as good. Also, it doesn't keep the +2/+2 buff until your opponent's turn, which makes this less good. I don't think Poppy Pup is very good. Maybe someone will prove me wrong. Obviously, if it's not very good in limited, it probably will be even worse in constructed. Oh, Pipit Pal might be okay in constructed, by the way. Rabid Rage. When a troop you control dies, troops you control get Gladiator 1. Hey look, it's another copy of Fueling Station, except like for the Deathcry deck, I guess. And kinda janky. And it's a constant, which means we're gonna eat it with our constant removal. But it's probably fine if your opponent doesn't have constant removal. Pipit Pal seems good with the Leprechauns? Of course Pipit Pal seems good with the Leprechauns. Leprechauns seem good with like everything that says anything about resources. Anyways, Rabid Rage, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna get a lot of Gladiator or something. If it stays on the board. This is probably like top tier in limited. In constructed, I don't know if this gets there. Maybe in some kind of like weird Deathcry-ish deck that we actually put out wide boards and then like give them all Gladiator. That isn't like the grindy value decks that we have now. Like an aggro-ish Deathcry deck. This might see play. But even then, it's like not a troop. So it seems pretty bad in constructed. In limited, it probably does some things. Razorboard Shredder. Hey look, it's another resource sink. It's a pretty bad one though. It's a 2-cost 1/2 Gladiator one, which means it's a reasonable 2-drop, right? Because it's a 2-drop 2/2 or a 2-drop 1/3 on your opponent's turn, and you can pay 3 to give it Gladiator 1. So this is probably fine. This is like a fine 2-drop. It's a really good one. This is why Wild is so good, because we have good commons like this. And like with a bunch of resources, we have Threat of Activation of like our 2-drop trading for their X3s or whatever. Obviously, because we can't give it a defense 2 that's like slightly more awkward, but I think it's fine. We can make like gigantic troops to block with too. So yeah, I think this is a fine card. It's pretty gross to block too. Next up we have Ready to Rumble. Target troop you control gets Gladiator 2, then it battles target opposing troop. Hey, this is a sweet one. On your turn, you can use it to make your troop really big and battle something so that it kills it with its extra power and potentially trades, so it's like less great on your turn. On your opponent's turn, if your troop is already big enough, you can give it extra defense, so it probably survives the combat. And yeah, Ready to Rumble is sweet. I think it's a good fight spell. It's quick, it gives your troop a bonus permanently, and it's a battle card. Yeah, Permanent Gladiator 2. I think this is very fine. I think this is a top tier removal spell. And it costs 2. Or it costs 3 and it's a common. My bad. I meant to say that it's common. So yeah, I think it's really good. Roaming Pulsagath, Socketable Major, 5 cost 5/5. Great. We're already playing this card. It's a Socketable Major, 5 cost 5/5. Like, it's not understated, and it has a Socketable Major. So we're already playing this card. When it attacks, create a rare portal and put it into your hand. Wow, even more card advantage. So if it survives and we get to attack with it once, we're sitting pretty. I think this is a limited bomb. It's not as bomby as some of the other bombs, but it's really good. In Constructed, I think it has a chance of seeing play. Like, just being a 1-card threat that like generates card advantage is not very bad at all in Constructed. So yeah, I think we play this very highly. Top tier. Probably first pick this over anything in draft. Rowdy Ringmaster. Another target troop you control gets +1/+1 in Crush. That troop battles up to 1 target opposing troop. So it's 6 cost, 5/5 that gives +1/+1 in Crush. So it's essentially a 6 cost, 6/6 worth of stats. And then you also get to battle. This is a really strong card at 6. Like, obviously you already need like something that's kind of big, but you just get to like play this and battle something and ruin someone's day. Card is great. Constructed, it's too expensive, doesn't do anything. It has the best art. Battle with Crush. Sure, I guess I'll mention that. When you battle with Crush, you don't crush. Like, you don't deal crush damage. It just battles. It's like Magic. You just deal damage to each other. That's it. Doesn't care about crush. This isn't Eternal. Eternal does that. If you want to do that, play Eternal. Alright, what's up next? We've got Runic Might. Target troop gets +3/+3 this turn, Runic. This is kind of a mediocre combat trick. So we're going to treat it like that. It's a combat trick. It gives +3/+3 and it's Runic. So you get like 2 uses out of it. But the second time they like know to chump block or whatever. Or know to not block at all if they can afford it. So yeah. But it is a combat trick. It does make me think that this format is a bit aggressive because there's stuff like this. Fine if you're running Crush, otherwise just okay. Yeah, basically. And, I mean, obviously you're going to pick it highly for a combat trick, but still at a combat tricks level. Up next is Ruthless Ripping. You're going to pick this one highly for a combat trick. Possibly even higher than that. Curtis has said that this card is probably insane in Constructed. This is a combat trick where the second time you play this, your opponent dies. Like getting +8/+8 is a huge pump for 3. Like, the first time, you're probably just winning combat. But the second time, if your opponent's not blocking one of your troops, they're dead. This card is really strong, I think. It is really sketchy, though. Escalation means that the next time, or when you play it, it goes into your deck, and then all the like bolded numbers get added the original value. So like the first time you play this, this will become +8/+8 the next time you play it. And then the second time you play it, it'll become +12/+12. So I think it is a strong combat trick in Limited. It is one of the best combat tricks. And I might take it higher, like high enough that like higher than most combat tricks, right? Like I took Smash to the ground close to like actual like threat level because that's how good Smash to the ground was. I think this gets taken close to the same level that you take Smash to the ground. So yeah. I mean, it's just like Pummel or something, but it has Escalate. That's the key thing. Like, the first time you win combat, the second time you kill them. Like, that's the point. I think Ruthless Whipping is really strong. Obviously, your mileage may vary. Pummel is +3/+3, and it gave Crush. Escalate doesn't matter in Limited, but it does. It does. Like, not as much as it does in Constructed, but it does. Scurrying, Strength, revert and transform target troop you control into a Merry Squirrel. Fate Weave. This is not quick. This is not a good card because it is not quick. Like, the reason why we played the quick one in the last set was our troop would go unblocked and then we would transform it into a Merry Squirrel and they would take 6. This, you have to transform our troop into a Merry Squirrel before attacking. This is not good. It like, you would rather just play combat tricks like Runic might, honestly. Don't play this card. I know it says Fate Weave. I know we really like the Fate Weave. Don't play this card. Next up is Shock Spear Slinger. It has Gladiator 3 Skyguard, so it's a 4-cost 4/3 or a 4-cost 1/7 Skyguard. This is pretty good at blocking flyers. Yeah. Comparing this to Poppy Pixies, and like, I didn't like playing Poppy Pixies that much, except in the, like, Transform deck, right? Because Poppy Pixies was tiny. 2/2 is way better than Fate Weaving. So yeah. And I didn't even like Poppy Pixies, so I don't even like this remotely. Slinger, it's fair. Like, a 4-cost 4/3 is not awful, but I don't think it's great or anything. And then when it stops attacking, it is an insane blocker, which is really good, because it blocks, like, stupid flyers that are trying to, like, kill us in the air through evasion. I think you'll pick this, like, medium-highly. It's not the best common, because it's not as aggressive as what we're used to with Gladiator, but it is fine, and we need it to block flyers eventually, if we can't get through, right? Like, defeating evasion is pretty strong. Soothing Seed Stag. Hey, it's a mediocre troop, but wait! It has Destroy Target Constant, gain 3 health! We'd probably play this a lot higher than we would play, like, normal 3-cost 3/2, or 2/3s. In fact, I'd probably take Soothing Seed Stag over, what's that other stupid one? The blood one. Umbral Guard. I'm pretty sure, like, being able to pay 3 to destroy a constant and gain 3 life is better than this weird, like, Verdict thing and the Minor Socket. So yeah. That's where I'm at. I think we want to be picking these cards higher than that card. Obviously, we don't want to pick it too high because it is the underwhelming 3-cost 2/3 body, but I think it's kind of okay. Then we've got Sown Strength. Target troop gets +1/+1. This is permanent. And Deathcry, Summon a Blight Blossom. This is permanent. This is a 1-cost, kind of mediocre as crap combat trick. Like if we win combat with this is, like, golden. But, like, I don't think we're gonna win combat enough with this. And then we get this, like, mediocre Deathcry. As a note, this is a sweet combo with Whisker of Azathoth, but no. I wouldn't recommend it. This is kind of underwhelming. Sylvan Springs, when we play a troop, create a copy of it and put it into our deck. It gets +3/+3. This is slow and kind of mediocre. There's a card like this in set 3 that was significantly better. It was, it's a 3-cost 3/4 that was double wild, and at the end of your turn, you would put a troop from your graveyard back into your deck, It got cost -2 and it got +2/+2. I think this card is comparable to that. That card is way better because it had a body. Its body was gigantic for its cost. And it also like made our troops cheaper or whatever. I mean, this is fine, don't get me wrong. In like for trying to late game people, but yeah, this isn't like a good card or anything. Like, we aren't trying to play this effect and slowly outgrind our opponent. Not unless the format is super slow. In Constructed, I was thinking about playing this in Constructed. Just because it would let me, like, grind harder. But then I realized that I'm probably going to have to play Clash of Steel in Constructed. Because my Diamond Wild deck doesn't really have removal against, like, the sockets decks and stuff. And you need to, like, remove a lot of things at once. So you have to play Clash of Steel. And at that point, you really don't want to be playing this ever. So yeah, we're not playing this in Constructed. Not ever. Triumphant Muttmaster. Deploy and Deathcry, another target troop gets Momentum 1. It's a 4-cost 3/3 Momentum 1. Hey look, it's reasonably sized for its stats. Hey look, it also gives something Momentum. That's not great. It is comparable to, what is it? There was that 5-cost 3/3 Gladiator 2. And yeah, like we played that card because it had like immediate super board impact. This has much less immediate board impact. It has a bit, which is like fine, and it's probably a fine troop, but it's not great or anything. Mad Packmaster, that's the one. Like, I think this is worse than Mad Packmaster. I think this is still fine, but it's definitely not Mad Packmaster, and we really don't want to hit resources over and over again. Verdant Rift. Play 2 random wild cards from your deck, create an uncommon portal, and put it into your hand. So this is like a janky 5-cost ramp spell, which is not where we want to be playing ramp spells, that draws a random card. This is not a strong card. I suspect that I'm going to end up playing this in some like really janky ramp deck, and it'll be like hilarious to play or whatever. But like, I don't think that this is a good card. Not unless you want to like one-shot them off of your like momentum cards. And I don't think that this is the card to do it. So yeah, I don't think we're playing this ever. So very low pick uncommon. In Constructed, maybe there's an outside shot that you'll play something like this. In like the mono wild, like weird rampy decks that people play. But again, there's like a tiny outside shot for you to be playing this. Unless we're totally wrong about momentum, which I accept is a thing that could happen. And to finish out all of our wild cards and all of our mono shard cards, we have Wild Knight. 5-cost 5/4, revert and transform another target troop you control into a random troop of the same shards with cost +1. So it makes one of your guys bigger, and it's a 5-cost 5/4. 5-cost 5/4 is already acceptable. So like, making another one of our troops hopefully bigger seems kind of sweet. Especially ones that are like really, really like unexciting at the low end. Right? Like, our like 2-drops are no longer great, so like we'll change our 2-drop into a random 3-drop. Hopefully it'll be great, but even if it's not, it'll probably be fine. And then we also, you know, have a 5/4. I think this is a very reasonable common. It's probably a decently high pick because of how big it is. But yeah, again, remember that there are a decent number of troops that have 4 power that are like 3-drops and stuff. And we really don't want to trade for them with our 5-drops. Alright, and